Welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's video we're going to be doing the very much requested Taylormade ZT zero torque putter lab revealer test. Now, you know, I know every brand has their own theory and own answer to zero torque, but a lot of people like to see this test, and we've got with us the 38-inch counterbalance and the 35-inch stock length. Now, I hate to have to do this, but disclaimer, I'm going to have to test these two with the wrapper on because I've come up to Stocksbridge Golf Club where they've kindly let me borrow their stock models to do a review on. I'm not yet getting any product to test from Taylormade, so we are sort of begging and borrowing a little bit. And no, it's returning inconsistently, as it should be if it's zero torque. And if we swing this in the reveal, you should be able to get a sight from here. And I'll turn to you in a minute. We'll go down the line to start with. It's staying entirely square to square, and we'll just do that from this side. And as you can see, it stayed square. That's only the second putter other than Lab that stayed square to square in the revealer. There's one thing I can feel with this one, and I can't explain it, I'm no sort of scientist or club designer, but when you do spin it, it's not as free spinning as like a Lab or maybe the Bettinardi that we tried. It's a little bit more jerky, but nevertheless, and that's probably because Taylormade use a different fear or a different system or different technology for zero torque, but it's staying square to square. We've come a little bit unstuck here because in the counterbalance putter there's a weight in the top and we can't get the hook in. However, having tested the 35-inch standard length putter, I'd be very sure now that this one is also zero torque and would swing square to square in the revealer. So other than being zero torque, what other features do these putters have? Because I think it's fair to say there's a wider range of zero torque putters on the market now, and for some of you it could be getting quite confusing. And we're going to put these to the test. We're going to give you a little bit of a sort of insight into the feel, into how easy they are to square up, which I think are very important features if you're buying a putter. So we're going to start off by alignment. Now you might be thinking, well guys, I can go and do these tests myself, but you know, I've spent quite a lot of time now researching zero torque putters and testing them, so I can give you a little bit of an almost comparison. Although I've not got every zero torque putter here today, you know, I have tested them. So in terms of sort of feel off the face and, you know, ease of squaring them and how they feel, you know, through the stroke, I can give you that a little bit of my insight. I have no bias, obviously. In fairness, there's a lot of buzz around this putter, but I've never been one that's sort of gone down the route of Taylormade putters. But there's so much buzz about it. What I have found with a lot of zero torque putters is the mass is the same as a standard putter, but because of the zero technology, they can feel a little bit light and almost like for sort of slower greens that you've got to sort of be a bit too aggressive with them. You can't sort of let the putter do the work. What's this one like? I'll tell you what, I would say that's quite responsive off the face. You know, I'm going to compare it against sort of my DF3, which I love the design of, but on slower greens, sometimes I feel like I'm not able to let the putter do the work and I have to become a little bit more controlled and focused on pace. But with this one, it seems to pop off the face a little bit hotter. So I can just kind of like let the putter, you know, get the length of stroke right and then let the weight of the putter do it rather than having to feel I've got to hit it. I'd say as well, in terms of like looks when you look down at it, I'm not used to kind of spider putters, but I know a lot of people are, and it seems to be very sort of like, you know, you can tell it's from that family. So I think someone transitioning from a spider would find this one pretty easy to transition into. And you know, none of these sort of zero torque putters, I'm going to be honest, I'm a traditionalist, none of these zero torque putters are the best looking of putters, but in terms of like zero torque, I would say this is a good looking one. You know, it's quite simple. I like the sort of black shaft and black head. The face is defined because it's obviously like more of a chrome finish. So I've set up the pace putt, and we're just going to hit a few putts on this longer length putt, so we can have a look at what length of stroke that I'm using, see if it's consistent with my axis, which on UK greens or mainly slower greens, that's one I felt the most comfortable with. And I think that's where we've got to start having that chat about, it's not just about being zero torque, it's got to be suitable, you know, for pace, the greens that you play on. Some are better for fast greens, some are better for slower greens. And obviously alignment, you know, you've got to be comfortable aligning it. Otherwise zero torque technology is not going to sort of be the determining factor for you buying a putter. Yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, I've not had to force it, I've just used a length of stroke that I felt like I needed. I'll just keep a sort of little eye on where we're going to. I think that were about sort of 20-inch. Now I know the line a little bit more, it's got a bit of a break from that right hand side. I like that, it's got a bit of response, you know, now we're obviously hitting a bit of a longer putt. It feels like it's coming off with some energy. Not quite got the direction, but for length, I'm comfortable with that. So on a little bit of a closer inspection of this putter, I've noticed, and I can't believe it because obviously I've just had 5-10 minutes using it, it's actually got a built-in forward press, and at no point have I actually felt that, because it's dissimilar to lab in a way that with this shaft being more vertical and not leaning forward, it gets your hands slightly in front of the club face, but in a very subtle way, so you don't actually notice it's doing it. Whereas, you know, with lab putters where they've got the forward lean, you do have to adapt into the putter a little bit. I think that's fair to say. Anybody that's bought a lab with a lean, it takes a little bit of adjustment. Once you get used to it, it's absolutely fine. But with this, if you're somebody that just doesn't like changing, you don't want to change your technique, you're more of a traditional sort of person, this is one that I suppose it gets your hands in a better position. Yeah, without even really knowing it. I've only just picked up on that. Right, is there any differences between the counterbalance and standard putter in terms of feel and anything that I can sort of tell you? When I initially picked it up, I did feel a little bit more mass, which I think you would expect because it's a lot longer putter, bigger grip. But funny enough, it's not lost the swing weight in the head. The head still feels weighty. I don't think I've got the perfect sort of technique for this putter. I don't feel as comfortable as a standard length, but that's just because I don't use one. But in terms of feel off the face, yeah, that feels pretty nice actually. It's a different feel. It almost don't feel as responsive, but it doesn't need to be because I think there's more mass there, so that it doesn't actually need to come off as quick. But they have got exactly the same face, the pure old face that you'll be used to now if you've used Spider putters. But it almost feels a bit quieter, which makes me wonder if the head weight is a tad lighter, or maybe the swing weight, not the head weight as such. If the head weight's the same, which I'll check, then the swing weight will definitely be lighter because of the longer shaft and, you know, weight at this side of the putter, so I will check that. I knew I'd left that short. I think this is one I'm going to conclude by saying there's a lot of positives in here. I think one, it swings square to square in the revealer from lab, which it's only the second putter to do that. So for you guys that, you know, really enjoy the lab theory and answer to zero torque, I think it's reassuring that the face is staying square throughout its stroke. And also, I think where it differs from some of the other putter technologies is that it's got a vertical shaft and it's got a press grip. So it gets your hands in a good position without even knowing it. So I think that's a massive positive from this putter. I think that's something that you'd find really easy to transition into. Now, head and looks, it's going to be personal preference. I'm going to be quite honest, it's not my cup of tea, but I think for anybody that's used to sort of spider putters and that sort of mallet design of head, you'll find this very easy to transition into, and I think you'll find it very easy on the eye because, you know, obviously it's got the look of the spider, but it's got the feel of the spider as well. And, you know, like I've said, for a lot of these zero-toe putters, as good as they've been, you know, for keeping the stroke square, it's no good if you've got to try to hit the putter too hard, because then you're not using the technology in its best form. I think to use this in its best form, you've got to find the putter that you can let the putter do the work and obviously get the ball rolling. And if you let it do the work, it will stay on path, so you can focus more on the length of stroke rather than trying to hit it. Thanks for letting me test them putters.
No problem, Gary.
And you were saying that Taylormade now, there's no more stock in factory.
Yeah, that's right. As of yesterday, the limited numbers that they had all were depleted, and the next stocks won't be around for another, well, let's say months.
So what deal can we do then?
What deal can we do?
For guys who's watching, somebody out there is going to be wanting one of these.
Certainly, yeah. It's the hottest putter this year by far. All the reviewers are going mad about it. Soft insert, and you know, so balanced. The balance of it is unbelievably good. So if you give us a call, Stock's Pro Shop 0114 288 2779, we can do a full fitting, and we also offer full trading service for your old putter or any of your goods really that you're not using any longer. If it's a good quality branded name, we'll accept it in as a trade-in against the goods you want to buy.
And I think if you've not seen Roger before, you know, you sell a lot online, so you're happy to ship, you know, to anywhere really.
That's right, yeah, we ship all over England, Scotland, Wales and Ireland also. So yeah, by all means, get in touch and we'll go from there.
He'll definitely sort you a deal out. And no, thanks for that, I really appreciate it. I've been struggling to get hold of one.
Well, my pleasure, Gary. But you're lucky, I had 4 yesterday.
Did you?
But 2 went straight
You've
away.
only got 2 now.
That's right.
You better pick
and
phone up, guys.
those 2 are reserved, but I've got more coming.
Yeah.
So please, by all means, give us a call to discuss.
Cool. I hope you've enjoyed that video, guys. If you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you in a few days' time. Bye.